Come on.
Can we turn it up and see how?
Oh, did you really? Yeah, sure.
It's inside though, right?
It's effective.
What is the?
No, they did it.
I don't really know answers to that.
So to take it off, you have to hold it.
Oh, man.
The old house. I didn't think there was a
Yeah,
years that I would not. Okay, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That could be this one. There you go.
It can't be that every.
I probably did.
Oh, right now.
Maybe it's
Yeah, she said there was farms or something, she said there was farms.
Great.
No, they got something like
I
that.
don't know if you would ever really grasp, like ever, I mean, it was bad.
All right, everybody ready? Kind of get a chance to look through the pictures?
Yep.
All right. My name's Noel Sebastian. So I think I told you at the beginning, I'm a lawyer in town and want me to go through some facts with you and get your opinion. So the way I've got this organized tonight is that I am going to read to you a story. I know you don't get to read it yourselves. You gotta sit around and listen. And you gotta listen to me with a cold. It's bad enough listening to me, my wife says, but even with a cold, maybe a little worse. And then I'm going to hand out a questionnaire. Have you put your name on it, fill it out, and then we'll start a little dialogue, and I will remind you for now, brutal honesty. You know, you guys all be great. I mean, honestly, I love the discussion going back and forth, the cross-talking. If somebody has a point, Kit makes a point, and John disagrees with it, John will step up, Constance will chime in. I mean, and that's exactly what we want. Okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and read my little story for you. And occasionally I'll refer you to the photos too. Blue Fuse Mitsubishi is an automobile dealership in St. Charles, Missouri. It faces the westbound lanes of I-70 near the Cave Springs exit. You can see the dealership from the very first photograph in the packet. The main entrance of the dealership is right in the middle of the first photo, and it's right in the middle of the building. Just west of the main entrance, there's a set of double doors. On that first photograph, you can see it. It says in small print, member of the Blue Fuse Automotive Network. And there are close-ups of that area as well. And obviously, to your left is westbound. These doors, the second set of doors, can be opened by the dealer to bring cars in and out of the showroom floor. Below the doors is a concrete ramp that allows cars to be driven into and out of the showroom. The last two photographs in your packet have a close-up of that concrete ramp. Just west of the double doors is the dealership's used car lot. The used car lot is best viewed in the second photograph, and hopefully this is visible. This is the front of the building as you're looking at it from a bird's eye view. And the used car lot is over here, again, going left is west. So just west of the main entrance, west of the showroom entryway is a used car lot. Okay. Thursday, July 12th, 2012 was a cold day. Light snow fell that day between 2 a.m. and 4 p.m.
What was the date, I'm sorry?
1/12 of 12. 1/12
You said
of 12.
July.
Did I really?
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
July.
You know, I tell you. Maybe I'm a doctor for the lesbians. All right, so Thursday, January 12th, 2012 was a cold day. Light snow fell that day between 2 a.m. and 4 p.m. and temperatures dropped from 20 degrees Fahrenheit early that morning to just 7 degrees by 4 p.m. The following day, Friday, January 13th, there was no weather event before noon. It was just seasonally cold, about 22 degrees Fahrenheit. At noon, a very light snow fell for just about an hour. That same day, Friday the 13th, David Brown arranged to have his daughter, Jasmine, pick him up from work and drive the two of them to the dealership. Neither of them had ever been to the dealership before. David planned to buy a red used car the dealership had advertised for sale. Jasmine parked in one of the spots by the main entrance to the dealership. I believe these spots are visible on your third photograph. You'll see the main entrance. In fact, it's marked Exhibit 3. You'll see two spots to the right. Harder, you can see two spots to the left. Okay? And we don't know which side of those doors she's on. She wasn't sure. All right. She and David walked to some cars parked on the first row of the lot right behind where her car was parked. And that first row is visible in that same number 3. The two of them then entered the building through the main entrance and turned left onto the showroom floor. A salesman greeted David on the showroom floor, and David asked him about the red car he'd seen in the ad. The salesman told him it wasn't there, but he'd have it driven over from a nearby Blue Fuse dealership. The salesman suggested that in the meantime, David might want to just walk to the used car lot and see a brown car that was the same make and model. David and Jasmine walked out of the main entrance. They turned westbound toward the used car lot. They walked past the concrete ramp that leads to the showroom, all the way to the used car lot. After they saw the brown car, they headed back inside of the dealership to warm up. They took the exact same route that they took when they walked outside. As they walked, Jasmine was in front of her father. When she was a few feet from the main entrance, she slipped on some ice and nearly fell. David stopped to make sure his daughter was okay, and she was. The concrete ramp and the double doors that are visible in the last two photographs of your packet was immediately to David's left. He decided to try and get inside the building through those doors. He took one step toward them, slipped on ice, and fell, breaking his ankle. David's fracture required surgery with pins and rods inserted. He had a second surgery to remove the pins and rods, and a third surgery to try and reduce stiffness and swelling of his ankle that he's experienced since the fall. He has post-traumatic arthritis, and his ankle is still stiff and swollen at the end of each workday. He is scheduled for removal of bone spurs that have now formed on his ankle and will undergo stem cell implants later this year as a final step toward trying to resolve his ankle problems. David is 6'2", and he weighs about 300 pounds. He is a mechanic for MoDOT, and he's been one for 20 years. He does heavy labor in his job. In the days before the fall, he had worked overtime during some inclement weather events, so he was able to leave work by 11 a.m. and go buy a car that Friday. When his daughter picked him up from work, he was wearing his work uniform and 6-inch work boots. He had both on while he was at the dealership. Okay, that's the story. And I'm now going to pass it on to the questionnaire.
What are 6-inch work boots?
It's not a stupid question because there's no such thing, especially in a focus group. They are boots that come up about 6 inches.
Oh, above the ankle?
Yeah, above the ankle.
Okay.
And they have a big thick sole.
Not 6-inch heels.
No.
No.
David wore 6-inch heels to the workplace to advantage.
Yeah, makes sense. Now I know.
Take your time and
Ask a question
Of course.
about the boots. I mean, are they designed for the snow or not?
There are work boots that, David works for Missouri Department of Transportation.
Yeah,
And
so
they're,
outside.
and they're issued by the Missouri Department of Transportation to do what he does for a living.
Okay.
Are they snow boots? I don't know. I know they're
Outdoor rugged.
traditional work boots that you'd see on a, if you went to a construction site.
I'm sorry, did you say that any of the parking lot or roadway area was treated for the ice?
I did not say that.
Was it?
I know that the dealer had tried to clear the snow in the morning, that's their testimony, and that they have a policy that after they clear the snow with a plow, which is what they say they did at 7 a.m. that day, they also put salt down. And they put the salt down with a spreader, and then they use hand. But it's not salt that comes out in the back of a truck.
Okay, so it was treated though, and that was at 7 in the morning? And they got to the dealership at what time?
That's a good question. They got there about somewhere between 11 and 12.
Okay, thank you.
It snowed at noon that day, roughly.
Yeah, and the amount of precipitation is, according to the statistical charts, nominal, if anything.
Quarters.
Yes, exactly.
So it was cleaned at 7 and not since? A lot?
Yes.
Give me white out.
Could probably get you another one.
No, that's okay. I'll just. I'm gonna rewrite number 4 on here.
Okay, perfect. Just please make sure you put your name at the top.
Excuse me?
Yes.
When they went to the used car lot, did a salesman accompany them?
The evidence is that the salesman did not accompany them.
Okay, so they were on their own to go back and forth.
Yes. Everybody finished? Okay. All right, what do you think happened?
Fell down.
Broad question, right? I mean, but tell me, what do you, I mean, obviously I read you a story, but what do you think happened?
I think the guy was out, the weather, given the weather conditions, he slipped, he may have had an accident, he slipped and he fell, you know, that's what I think happened. I mean, given ice and snow and, you know, even removing it at your own house and stuff, I mean, you can't get every spot up. I mean, it's impossible. I mean, I think the dealership treating it they made an effort to try to make it as clear as possible, but given the weather conditions, sometimes it's not always possible.
Okay.
And the daughter fell too.
She did.
2 people fell, so
She
that's
slipped.
for me.
She slipped.
Yeah,
She slipped.
slip. But, and weather conditions, they can change throughout the day, even though, like you said, they've treated it, but I've managed businesses before too, and boy, we always would keep a really sharp eye on that, because things can refreeze, and, or you can miss spots, so.
Or sometimes if it's cold enough, the chemical just doesn't work. I mean, you see
Yeah.
that on the highway, it just gets so cold, the chemical won't work below a certain temperature.
I don't shop for cars when it's 20 degrees.
No, I go when it's 100.
Did you say or mention, and I'm sorry, I don't remember, but did they have like caution signs up, or like, wet floor or icy floor?
I didn't tell you that,
Okay,
but I will
okay,
eventually.
okay. All right.
From the questionnaire, the implication was that they didn't treat that section because it wasn't for customer use. Is that, do we know that?
Did anybody else get that?
It wasn't frequently.
To some degree.
Where people walk all over the place.
Yeah,
For example, if it was my lot, I would have treated it.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems what happened, daughter slips, so father says, oh, well, let's go in here to avoid slipping again, or get out of the weather, let's go right here, so.
Look like doors.
Right.
Okay. I promise you, your comment will come, I'm gonna come back to that as well. So I'm gonna try to. What was the hardest question to answer on the form?
Number 6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
number
I
6.
couldn't-
All right,
yeah, I couldn't
pardon me for asking, what was number 6?
No.
List a few words.
Oh,
That's described
The
customer
decision of the customer to go to the double one.
Okay. Why was it hard?
You didn't even give us that information.
Well, you said it was going because it get warm, so I put because he was cold.
Okay.
And you gave us the temperature, so I knew it was cold, but you also made some
And they
kind
had
of
been
reference to
outside
the
for a
fact.
while,
Yeah,
because they walked over.
they walked to the west
Right.
lot over there, so.
Yeah.
He saw the doors
I'm all
and was
about the
going.
closing.
I think it says it didn't ask for a salesperson. You know, had they went in and asked for one, they maybe would have escorted them, in a vehicle.
Well, the salesperson said
Yeah, the salesperson directed them there.
to go look in the lot.
Does anybody have a feeling about that one way or another?
Uh-huh, I
So-
think the salesperson should have gone with them.
I have no
Salesperson didn't
problem
want to
with
get
that.
cold.
Yeah, but it's cold out. and it's
Any
wet.
any explanation come to your mind as to why that salesperson
He was
wouldn't?
Because he's a
Get the
lazy
car that the guy
salesman.
that asked about over to the dealership, so he probably just, in the meantime, to kill some time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like for a salesperson being around me if I'm looking at stuff, because I feel like they might say, hey, you ought to try to get, they're trying to be devil's advocate.
That's what I was thinking too, why didn't they drive them over there?
Yeah.
Given the condition.
That
Why
was a
didn't they-
distance.
why didn't
Well,
they-
it
It
could've been
beautiful weather.
Why didn't the salesman go over and get the car and bring it over? if it's
There
bad
you
nasty
go.
weather out?
That's right.
So you know, the dealership was not just overloaded with 200 people looking at cars.
Well, they
He
do
was
one
so
of the
busy.
red
It's
ones,
not
so they
that
weren't
far,
gonna
I
bring that
mean,
one
it's
over.
right on the lot, basically.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like a similar situation of going when it's pouring down rain, or you want to go hike over there, or you want that guy to go get you the car. If you really want to sell the car, he's gonna go bring you a car.
I believe the owner of the dealership has testified that the policy is that in inclement weather, the car should be brought to the door. And the owner doesn't understand why that would have happened. Why somebody would have not only been, you know, invited to go look at a car, but also gone out unescorted. I don't know if it matters, but that.
So is he saying then that he doesn't believe the person was told to go over there?
He just, that's what he said. I just read the defo and tell you.
I bought a car last summer and it was, you know, extreme conditions.
Right.
100 plus, I mean, just the opposite. But they would bring the car right up to the door of the dealership.
Okay.
So I could go out. I mean, so I wouldn't have to walk.
Does anybody have a problem with the guy's election to go to the doors that are in those last two photos? Is that,
It was his choice. I mean, he's the one who made the choice to go to this.
would you expect those doors to open, looking at the photographs? Or just knowing that that's?
Knowing that there's a, I mean, that ramp is very similar to the ramp
Going into?
to the main entrance with the awning.
The ramp's different, actually.
Is it-
It's a
Yes.
slant going up.
Yes, it's definitely inclined. I can't give you degrees, but I can certainly tell you that I think the second to last photograph is a pretty good photo of the ramp.
I can't tell whether the entrance
It's hard to
is
see, but
inclined,
that's
because here it looks very.
To answer your question, yes, I would expect those doors to open. That's just my mind.
So they didn't open?
Don't know.
No, they
I would
probably
have
slide.
expected them to.
Is there a door
There's no reason not to.
that
They
is to
probably
the
slide
left
open
of
to
this
let cars
door?
in.
I'm sorry, I
Is
didn't.
there a door to enter the entrance before these doors that he would have passed? Is there a door
Do you mind
over
if
here?
I come closer?
Yeah.
Walk
Is there a
up.
door over here
They look like
that
doors.
he would have passed?
So the overhead shows it, they would have parked here, walked around to this first row, gone inside, gone over to the center,
Over here.
and then out,
They parked
and then back.
here.
That was the
They'd be
point.
right next to that concrete.
The fellow that slipped was standing in front of that concrete
Even
slab.
if they were going through the fire.
That makes
So they
sense?
came out of here.
Possibly discuss.
Yes, they walked into the building and out of the building through that main
If they
entrance.
were gonna go, because it was closer.
Yeah, it was cold. You didn't say that.
Did they go all the way over here and around?
Uh,
Like, did they follow the road, or did he cut through this grass?
I believe, I don't know.
Because if there was a door here, there's a way up here, that would have been closer to this one.
There is a door over here, it's not really what I would call a customer friendly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's clearly going back to the
Can't
front.
stop people from using.
but I would say that these,
If you go to the mall.
knowing that it's a ramp like that, I would think that you would probably think that it would be more difficult to get in, not just a man door, you would say, like more like an overhead door. I mean, I know they would slide, but
Right. But-
I picked up a car and they had it inside like that, for you to pick it up. And then they open those doors up and drive it out.
Right. Okay. Well, I'd like to just sort of open, I'd like to put a question to the group. If it was you, and you had gone in to see the car, asked, they were invited to go outside, you walked outside and you were coming back, and your daughter's in front of you and she slips by the main entrance, are you more inclined to go to walk that way to the main entrance, or do you go to the left and go to the doors that are at the top of that ramp?
Just quickly, you said, were they near the main entrance? Where does she slip exactly?
Okay, I want to make sure this is clear. So I'm going to use the overhead photograph, and hopefully this will make sense. Pardon me for turning my back on you. I believe that they parked here. Does that make sense? Just to the, either the right or the left of that main entrance being what's shown right smack in the middle of that photo. That they went inside into the showroom, which is behind this concrete slab, and that they went out, walked over here into the used car lot, and then back. And the daughter is right by that overhang when she slips and falls. And the
Did she
dad,
fall or just slip?
sorry,
Okay.
Are they closer to the entrance or to the doors that go where, I guess?
the man that slipped and fell is standing
Is there,
right there. Now, I'll tell you that it isn't really clear exactly where he slips and falls. The only person that saw him fall is the daughter, and the daughter says he was right in front of that ramp when he took one step and down he went. The employees of the dealership only saw him on the ground, and his testimony was, I fell and I started, it was so icy, I started to just slide my bottom up the ramp. And that's where they saw him, on the ramp.
He started sliding up the ramp?
He was down on the ground and he just pushed himself, because he couldn't stand.
He couldn't get back up on the high.
He broke his ankle.
Yeah.
So what round was it, this one?
Yeah, the one on the left.
And there's no entrance?
Well, the top of the ramp are the last two photographs that you see.
Well, why didn't the camera pick it up? I mean, I
Yeah,
can't
here.
camera out there.
The security camera,
Yeah.
the dealer, I did ask the lawyers that question, and what I'm told is that there is in fact a security camera in that area, and the dealer checked and the camera wasn't working.
Now, that may sound.
I believe that the dealer has a receipt saying that they fixed it a few weeks after the event.
And I have to tell you, dealing with those cameras like that, I've had the same thing happen to me, where something happens in that area and that camera wasn't working. And it has happened, although when you end up going to court, it always looks funny. It's like, okay, what are you trying to cover up? But it truly, it could happen.
Yeah, I believe that, but why did you wait 2 weeks to get the camera fixed though?
Well, because you can't get people to come out and fix it. That's just not something you can just snap your fingers and somebody's gonna be there.
Yeah, and we don't know, as we sit here right now, if they came out to fix the camera that was on that part of the lot, or if they fixed the camera in the back lot. The lawyers didn't tell me that, I don't know what the answer to that.
Did you say that he slipped in front of the ramp?
He did. I've said that the daughter's testimony is that he was standing in front of the ramp when he slipped and fell. She's the only eyewitness.
Right. So why are we questioning why did he go up to those doors?
To get to the door.
But did he say that he was going up there to get the
He
doors?
said that, he didn't actually say it, he implied it, because somebody asked him flatly. But from reading the depositions, it's clear the implication, in my mind anyway, that he intended to walk up that ramp and go in those doors that were to his left.
And I can see where that easily could happen. You have two people that are not familiar with their surroundings, you know, they see a big glass there, they don't know for sure if that door slides, if it opens, you know, they're far enough back. I could see where something like that could actually happen, you know?
Okay, so I appreciate you making that point, Wayne, because I want to bring us back to the question that I've asked and make sure that I get everybody's input on this. Which way would you go? If you were standing in front of that ramp, would you go toward the area where your daughter was, that you'd come in and out of before? Or would you try those doors to the left? Is there anything odd about trying those doors to your left?
Yeah, I would have just continued going where I had been in and out before.
Just be
myself.
more
I'm not
cautious.
sure that he was going for those doors. You haven't told me anything that indicates that he actually was going for those doors.
Yeah.
You're supposing that he was. You're taking an inference from something that you have no eyewitness saying that he was going for those doors. His daughter says he slipped at the front, in front of that ramp. So,
You're absolutely
you know,
correct. There's,
I
can only tell you what I know and what
so,
I.
the only thing I have to go by is the daughter says he slipped. He was in the parking lot in front of the dealership, and he slipped and fell on ice. And the daughter slipped on ice too.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't see what
It would
what
be,
the argument is, what's the defense here, for liability?
Uh,
They say they treated
I'm
it.
gonna make a note, and I promise you I'm gonna contact you.
it would make sense to go back the way they came in and just be more cautious, because that's where they walked out, where the salesman saw them. I mean, they're, you know, I don't know, going in different entrances might, they're not familiar with the place. Where are they gonna walk into if they go into a different door? So just go.
Cause it was closer.
To answer your question,
Can I ask you to look at that second, really everybody, the second to last photograph? Is there anything odd to you about making the decision, and let's assume, for purposes of this question, that the decision was made to try and go in those doors?
We can't really see what's behind
I get that.
the picture or whatever. I
They
mean,
look like doors.
They are in fact doors, there's no question. I mean, the dealer says they use that ramp to bring cars in and out of the dealership, in and out of the showroom, in fact.
Well, and it could have been too, that it was so cold, you know, people, human nature is so cold, I wanna get in the closest, it's cold out here, I wanna get inside, I'm going to the closest door I can get to, you know.
They already walked over to the other one. and
but you do have a
back.
car parked there on the ramp. That
What-
might,
what- Why does that matter to you? Pardon me, Sherry. Why does it matter to you that they already went in and out of the door?